The comments made by the Sultan of Sokoto saying, well, the North has got to look inwards, but the entire country cannot leave it all to itself. They all have got to step in to stem the tide. Well, perhaps for those who might have missed it, we'll take that to you again now. Okay, we're joined then from our Abuja studios by Dr. Kabiru Mato, who is a political scientist in University of Abuja. Morning, and thank you for joining us, Dr. Mato. Well, yeah, I know you might have heard that comment, which we will bring to you subsequently, but largely, you've got a school of thought that says this is predominantly political. We're on a democracy. Leaders come from political parties, and so if there's a question of leadership, we have to look to political parties. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Well, thank you very much. Compliments of the season to you and other Nigerians. I want to share, to a great extent, all the views, and opinions expressed by Dr. Emmanuel Ona. I think one of the major issues of challenges that we have in this country today is attributable to the failure of leadership, which has so accumulated over time. And, the main issue, of course, is that at the moment, there seems to be very little or, no attempt at all by the political establishment to really understand the magnitude of the issues at stake and begin to evolve far realistic solutions that will see the end of it. Yes, political leadership is an issue, and in this sense, the nature of the political structures we have, the political parties, how leadership is recruited within them, and how leadership and representation is recruited by these political parties that represents various constituencies and groups in this country. I think, in my view, leaves much to be desired, and to a greater extent, therefore, we can comfortably agree that yes, that is the problem. That's a major source of the problem, and the way out of it does not seem to be in sight now.
What we've seen, because we also did ask Dr. Ona that, does he think that, and let's ask you, do you think that leaders, let's start from the North now, across board there, do you think they will see his comment as one of those comments, or will they actually introspect and say, well, wait a minute, we have to tell ourselves the truth here, we really have to do something, perhaps predicating it on what the Sultan has said?
Well, I think, let me begin by first of all saying that the institution of the Sultanate that's occupied by the Sultan is such a very magnificent throne, and whatever statements that comes out of a Sultan should be taken very seriously. And let me also join in commending the, the courage, yes, but to actually come out and tell the nation that a lot of this problem has to do with the inability of the leadership, not just in northern Nigeria, but in the nation as a whole, to carry out its responsibilities as it ought to be. And it is this failure that has accumulated over time that is responsible, for these stark realities that we are facing. I don't know if, those in political authority, but of course we have to also appreciate, the withering away of, actual powers of the traditional institution in modern governance. I think that's the major issue. And that, of course, is easily understandable by the manner in which, contemporary political authorities tremble, at the slightest opportunity on the traditional institution, regardless of their historical significance and, of course, their contemporary relevance within the Nigerian setting. I think the statement by the Sultan cannot afford to be, put aside by any serious political leadership, because it is a statement that is coming out from at least at one of the highest levels of the Nigerian society. And in my humble opinion, it is time, to actually realize that by the time those at the top of the societal ladder begin to, in public, on up, or identify what the major crises or problems are within the society, in my view, some major of achievements are beginning to be recorded that might likely lead to refocusing attention by leadership to those very crucial and critical issues that have resulted in this state of quagmire that Nigeria finds itself in. So if the political leadership will choose to disregard this very honest and bold pronouncement by the Sultan, it will do so at its own peril. It will also do so, conscious of the fact that obviously, and I don't know, if they choose also to try to see it as an attempt by a particular wing of the ruling class trying to instigate the populace against the political leadership, they also do that at their risk. But then the issue is that it is a statement of reality. It is a statement that a lot of us ordinary Nigerians have said over a very long period of time, and the political leadership does not seem to be, in comfort to listen to that. That is now being said by Sultan of Sokoto. And I want to also see a situation where the governors themselves throughout the country will come up and own up to this reality that the crisis that you have in the system, it is not just about allocation of societal resources. That's not the major preoccupation of leadership. It is not just about sending a budget, approving a budget, driving long convoys, and then dispensing societal resources. It's also about owning up the social, economic, and political failures that occur while you are in positions of authority. So I think it's a very serious statement that has to be taken very seriously by leadership at all levels, not just in northern Nigeria, but in the entire country, and especially in Abuja, that in my view seem to have lost grasp of what actually is the problem or the nature of the problem, and instead continues to pile blame on politics, continues to pile blame on politicians, and so on and so forth. And at the slightest opportunity, they tell you that we're on top of the situation, we will lead it in abroad, and so on and so forth, and the crisis continues to aggravate.
Well, yesterday, Dr. Mato, we had a guest who said that, he wished the Sultan could do more, but lamented that the Constitution provides no role. In fact, they're almost not recognized by the Constitution. Do you think that he should have been able to do more if he was empowered by the Constitution?
Well, again, this is a very serious issue that is also debatable. In my view, the traditional institution does not really require any constitutional recognition in the area of allotment or allocation of powers, because doing that again will possibly degrade the authority of the institution. I want to see a situation where that even if there is going to be any constitutional function, it will be restricted to not assignment of roles perhaps, but mentioning the institution and then giving it some kind of advisory responsibilities without necessarily going into the nitty-gritties of modern governance or day-to-day running of the affairs of governance that will be subject to litigations and so on and so forth.